Hello everyone, my name is Kathy Champion and I want to thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel today. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator here in Gastonia, North Carolina, but I service people all over the United States. So if you do not have a demonstrator and you would like a catalog, or if you would like to shop at my online store, you can do it either way. But I just want to thank you for stopping by today, and if you have not subscribed to my channel, please think about doing so. Helps me grow my channel, in turn helps me grow my business. Thank you so much. So before we get started, I just want to share with you a little bit. I know many of you that already are my loyal and faithful subscribers, you already know about the host code, but for anyone new, if you make a purchase of $50 or more before tax and shipping during the month of February and use this host code, you will get a free gift from me. Also, any purchase of any size using this host code will put you in a drawing for a free stamp set and the drawing will take place on March the 1st, because I'm going to give everybody to the end of February, which is the 28th. So that way we have time enough then to do the drawing, and I'll get your prize sent out to you. It's a beautiful stamp set. It's called A Touch of Ink, and I have showed it before. I will be doing some cards with that a little bit later in the month. I wanted to kind of get Valentine's behind me first. But if y'all remember, yesterday I showed you on my channel how to make this beautiful marbled paper, and I made some different ones. This is one, and this one I ran it through the embossing folder. This is the called Hammered Gold. Yes, that's what that one was. This one I did it through the Old World folder, and then I did my inking. But these are done on vellum, and as I have told many people, it does not work on just any vellum. I haven't tried a lot of them, but the one that I had in my stash, and I'm not going to mention a brand because I don't want to diss anybody else's brand, but I had a hard time with it curling. The ink did not move with the alcohol. It was just a hot mess. So I tried it on my Stampin' Up vellum, and the results was beautiful. And I also did one in red, and I've got some pieces cut here that I'm going to do with this. I used the gilded leafing, and I just took my glue and just kind of made some swirlies throughout this piece, and I thought it'd be lovely paired with a gold, and this will make a beautiful Valentine's card, which is probably what I'm going to do with it, since it looks a little too Christmas with the red and gold. So I thought we'll turn that into a Valentine's card. But anyway, what I wanted to do, I have another piece of blue, and as you can see, every piece that you do with this is different. I use the same colors, but you will never get the same result. I embossed this one first, did it through an embossing folder, and then I did my inking. And if you want to check out that technique, you can go back and look on my channel and you'll see the video. It'll be the one right before this one. But anyway, I also wanted to show you how you can cut your die cuts apart and actually have them in two different colors, because I didn't color this. This was all done with just stamping and doing a little bit of cutting. So we'll go over that too. That's the reason I'm doing it in the same color, but I am going to change the colors up a little bit. This one I put down on a white background, and I'm going to do the same thing with this one, but I'm going to go with a darker color. I'm going to use the Night of Navy, and look at the difference in when you put it on a dark color and when you put it on a light color. I mean, it's amazing to see the difference in the look that it takes. And I even tried it on a piece of red just to see, and there it picks up almost that a mauve colored, because, you know, blue and red will make a dusty rose and purples. So it changes color depending on the color cardstock that you pair it with. But today we're going to stay very true to ourselves, and I'm going to do it on a piece of basic white cardstock. And I'm going to get out my trimmer, because I didn't score this. And this is a piece that is 8.5 by 5.5, and we're going to score it at 4 1/4. So let's put that in, and this is my scoring blade. And if you have not seen this trimmer is one of the best that you will ever use. I know it has been for me. The arm extends out to about 17 1/4 inches. You have this very clear, cleanable surface that wipes clean. I got glue on it right there, so it does need cleaning. You have got a 1.5 inch space over here that you can use for cutting. You have a scoring blade that rests. It has a place to rest each one of your blades. Here's my cut blade. It's always the darker one, and the score blade is the lighter gray. So you can see. And you can just move one down while you use the other one, and then you can move that one up while you use this one. One of the most ingenious paper trimmers ever, and it has a little place here where you can hang it, and I actually have a command hook right on the side of my desk here, and that's where I keep my paper trimmer. No, I don't think I need it anymore right now. We will need it again in a few minutes, but for right now we're good. So the color palette that I'm going to use, like I said, is the basic white. I have a piece of Night of Navy, and I have another scrap of white, because I'm thinking, as I did on this one, and I used the Pacific Point, and I can't remember the ink I used to stamp this in. I want to say, I don't remember. I should have wrote it down, but I didn't. So I'm not even going to try to guess it. But anyway, we're just going to fold this, and I'm going to bring my bone folder over because I want to get a nice even. And the best way to make sure you get it even with scoring, you still need to hold that cardstock together. And then I like to take my bone folder and just train that paper. Train that paper to go in the direction you want it to go. Just like that, and like this. Get a nice crease on it. So there we go, we got our card base. Now we're going to put this, and I already cut this down to 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, and I wanted it like that because I want just that slight border of white around it. It doesn't have to be stark, but just enough so you can see that little bit of white around the edge of it. And to put this down, I'm going to use glue dots. I found this to work really good for my other card. So what I did is I took my glue dots, and on each corner I pressed a glue dot onto my vellum, just like that. Really, really simple. And I was real surprised at how well that worked, and you didn't see it through the cardstock or through the vellum, because you don't want your adhesive to show. So come down and grab another glue dot, and the glue dots are pretty clear, so if you ever run into paper that you have trouble adhering because you don't want to, put a lot of glue behind it, then glue dots would be a perfect way to glue down your pieces. And then you just want to be careful when you put this down to make sure you're getting your piece on. I'll tell you what, let's go down to the bottom like that, and I'm going to press that down, and then there, and then here and here. That looks pretty good, don't you think? Now I should have put my ribbon on prior to doing this, and I forgot again, but I did pull out, this is in a trio pack that's called Flowers for Every Season, and this is a beautiful white, it looks almost like an organdy, and then this is a baker's twine that has a very pale blue with silver streaks in it, and it is really pretty, and I thought it would lend itself really good on this ribbon. I'm going to show you a trick that I used, and maybe everybody didn't have one of these, but this is it's an instrument that you use for pulling thread and stuff through an area. So I just put it under the vellum like that, and then feed your ribbon into it, and then pull it. just like that. And what I'm going to do is where I want my bow to go is where I'm going to connect this. So I'm going to connect it, just letting it overlap right there, just like that. And I'm going to go ahead and cut that off. So let me grab my paper snips. So I'll put down a little bit more than what I need because I want to make sure that I have an overlap. And that's really a little bit more than I wanted. Let's pull this up just a hair. So like I said, where you want that overlap is going to be where you want your bow to fall. So let's pull it a little bit more. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use another glue dot to put that in place. And I'll use my Take Your Pick tool to pull that off with. Just like that. And now I'm just going to bring this down over top of that vellum. I think I want to go up just a little bit more. And you know, sometimes we get a little fussy with, you know, how we do our cards and what have you, but I think the time that you put in making your cards is the love that you put in it. So I say don't rush the process. You know, it's not a contest to see who can make the card the quickest, but it's to see who can make the card the prettiest. That's how I like to look at it. So I'm going to cut that off right there, and I've got that little bit of waste, but oh well. And then I'm going to put another glue dot right up underneath there. And again, I'm going to use my Take Your Pick tool because that will help me peel that off pretty nice and straight. And I'm going to put this one right there. And then I'm just going to lay that ribbon up into the glue. Now when we put our bow over top of that, that will cover that overlapping and it'll be perfect. Okay. So the next thing I want to do is I'm going to pull some dies and I'm going to use my layering ovals. And I want to cut a piece of the navy blue out of my largest navy blue, Night of Navy, out of my largest scallop die. And that's the one that's on the right side. You have your larger ones here, and then you have the smaller ones here, and the same way with these. So, and I like to pull off the one that I'm going to do in white and make sure that it will fit in there where I'm going to see enough of that scalloped edge, and that's the one I'm going to want to do for the white. So I'm going to cut this down so that I can run both of these through at the same time. So I'm just going to use my scissors and whack that off. And then I have one small enough here for this. So I'm just going to come over to my die machine. I have it right here at my right hand because I use this thing so much. And it is such a neat machine. It's so easy to crank through and it cuts like butter. And I've been using mine now since August, I believe. And I love it. One of the best die cut machines that I've ever had the pleasure of cranking through. And I did, I just cranked it through. But as you can see, I got both of my layers cut. So I'm going to lay those over there, put this right here, lay that over there, scraps there, pieces there, and put my little plates back together. And now I'm going to just go ahead and lay these back in place, just like this, so that they'll be back in their appropriate spot. And we are going to decide, oh, we're going to do the flower. That's right, we're going to do that flower. That flower is so pretty on this card. And I want to show you how I did it. We are going to stamp this one in a little bit darker ink. I'm going to do it in the Night of Navy to match this piece and to match some of the darker ink that's showing up in my card, my vellum mat. So let me grab the, and I should have pulled this out. before we got started, but I didn't. And I know I have that stamp right here because I used it just recently. There we go. Flowering Blooms. And now to find the die, all I have to do is turn it over and I know it's Flowering Dies. So, because sometimes these names don't match up. And to make it easy, this is just an easy way because I keep them alphabetical in a bin. So it makes it easy for me to pull them and be able to use them. Alright, so what I want to do now, I'm going to move everything over and give myself a little bit of a clear place here to work. I am going to grab a scrap of my Whisper White. I think this will work really well. I'm going to grab, I got the Night of Navy, and I want to do, I think I'm going to do the flowers in Old Olive, or do I, yeah, I think I want to use Old Olive. I think I used, I think I used Garden Green on that one, or either just Jade. Again, I should have wrote those down. But here's my Old Olive, and that's a pretty green for leaving. And then, of course, my Night of Navy. And I'm going to load up my stamp on a good-sized stamp block. This one works really good for this particular flower because it is a good-sized flower. And I'm going to show y'all how we can stamp this and die cut and get the colors where we need them with only a minimal amount of work. So let's load that up on the stamp block. And I'm going to go into the Night of Navy first. Let me pull this over a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. And I'm only going to go to about there. I'm trying to decide if I want to stamp this off. I'll tell you what, let's try it. Let me get a scrap sheet. You know what, this one will work. And we'll see if I want to... Oh, I did go down all the way, but that's okay. I'm going to stamp. I like it in full color. I really do like that. I think I used Pacific Point on that one. I'm pretty sure I did. Now looking at this one, let me stamp off one time and see what I get. Yeah, too pale. I think I like that one the best. So, I'm going to go back in and I'm only going to ink up the top of that. And if you want to, you can use one of your cleaning cloths and just take off some of this ink down here. Or you can just stamp it. It really doesn't matter. I'm not sure that I didn't wipe it off from where I needed it, so it might just be better to leave it. Okay, we're going to leave it. And I'm going to put this right there and give it a good press. Oh, that's so pretty. So, so pretty. And let me get my Stampin' Scrub because I am going to need to clean this stamp because I'm going to stamp this again in that Old Olive to get those leaves. So let's clean this off really good. And your stamp cleaner has a little bit of an oil base in it. So not only does it clean your stamps, it conditions your stamps. So sometimes with the photopolymer, because they're porous, and sometimes you have to stamp them a couple of times. But if you wanted to prime them, just take and put a little bit of the Stampin' Mist on them and just rub it off on a cleaning cloth and then stamp your image. It works beautifully. Another little tip for you. And I've got some other tips I can't wait to share with y'all. Now I'm going to go ahead and go in about to here. Just like that. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to stamp off on here and make sure that's the color I want. And I think that's good. I like that. Not a bright green. It's kind of a dull. But that's Old Olive. So not a problem. I'm going to come right over here. Maybe I'll do it. I think I'll do it down this way. Because we don't need the top. We just need that bottom. Okay, that looks really good. So again, over to my stamp cleaner, and I'm going to go ahead and close these two inks up. Just like that. And then I'm going to grab that die, and we are going to cut both of these out. Make sure I get my stamp pretty clean. I don't like to leave ink on my stamps, as y'all know. I feel like that your stamps and your dies are an investment that will last you a lifetime if you take good care of them. So I'm very persnickety about taking care of my pieces. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here first and go ahead and get those leaves. And anytime that you're using the dies, you want to make sure that the part that you're cutting out, you don't see any white around the edges. Then you know that you've got it down exactly where it needs to be. And let me grab one of my Post-it notes, or Post-it flags. These work so great. And I'm going to come back over to my die cut machine. I'm going to have to cut this down too because this piece is too wide to feed through. Not a problem. I'm just going to grab a pair of my shears. That takes the bottom part of that and it cuts that. Now we're going to do the same thing with the other piece. And again, we don't have to worry about the bottom so much, but you know how it is with a die. If it's right at the top, it's going to be right at the bottom. So I usually use my little guidelines to make sure that I'm in everywhere that it's supposed to be. Just like that. Alright, and then that's ready to go through. So we'll cut this out. These things are so great because they do not peel the paper or your ink when you pull them off, and that's why I love to use those. And there's your flower. So see how pretty that's going to look together? And now it's going to be very simple because we're going to do very little fussy cutting to cut these leaves away. And what I like to do is go in. You got a little place right here, so just kind of follow the line of the die where the die actually cut it. I'm going to come up to here, just like that, and I'm cutting that entire blue stem away and the leaf, just like that, and then we're just going to follow around like that. The rest of that can be blue, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't all have to be one way or the other, and this will work. So here we're going to just cut away from the actual stems, and so this one is really simple to do. We're going to cut right there, and we're going to come up and cut right here, and cut across there, and right there. And then all I'm going to do now is trim out this little part right here. So I'm going to come down into there, and I'm going to come up here and just follow the line down to there, and just pull that out. And I'm going to do the same thing here, just leaving that little tiny border of white, and I'm going to come up on this side and cut down. And then that's how simple this is. And look at the magic of what happens once you move stuff out of your way so we can put this together. I'm going to throw these two away. We don't need those. And by the magic And we can actually tuck this over so the leaf is going over and that one under, which gives it even a more realistic look. And let me slide that white up under it and you'll see what I'm talking about. And that's how you can do your leaves on your, if you have a die cut for any flower that includes the flowers and the leaves, never feel like you have to be limited, because you can dissect your stamped images and you can stamp 2 or 3 and cut out the parts that you want and then put them together. It's so easy to do, and it makes such a dramatic effect without doing a whole lot of work. Oh, did I get... No, maybe not. This thing came unraveled. I guess I need to tear off some of these I was using. And I'm going to adhere this together again using a glue dot. These are the mini glue dots, and they are in the annual catalog if you're interested in getting some. I'm going to put one right there. And I think I want one right over there. And you might want to roll this one a little bit, because I'm not going to need one quite that wide. Well, it stayed on my finger instead of my little tool. So I'm just going to stick that down right there, like that. And now we are going to bring the flower in. Like, I'll tell you what, the easiest way to do this would be to put your flower down where you want it, like that, and then bring your leaves up over it. And I think that gives you a better effect. And see, those leaves can actually be curled out a little bit so that they look like they have some movement. And I love that. Isn't that pretty? I love the way that turned out. Okay, so let's bring these pieces back over. And what I want to do now is I want to use some liquid glue. And I am going to combine my 2 pieces together, since we're not stamping here. And that'll work really well. Did y'all see what I just did? I put glue on the wrong one. I needed to put it on this one. So now if I put this down, I'm going to have glue off of the edge. Alright. Die cuts don't work well turning them over, because for me, I have a right side and a wrong side. And the right side always has a little curvature to it, and it just looks neater. So I'm going to just cut another one. I'm going to let that dry, because I might be able to salvage that and use it for something else. But for the sake of the video and the sake of my project, I'm just going to grab this die, and I got all excited and talking and telling y'all how to do this that I totally messed up. But you know what? You never mess up too much that you can't fix it. You can either cut another piece, or you can salvage the piece you have. You might ask, what would I have done if that was the only last piece of blue cardstock? Well, at that point I probably would have turned it over, put the die over it, and ran it back through, and had that curved edge on the front. So like I said, there's always a way to get around any of your mistakes that you make, and you can fix them. You just have to think through the process of how you're going to go about fixing it. And sometimes you'll have to think outside the box a little bit. So that looks beautiful. And this is going to go up to the top. This card's going to be almost identical to this one, with the exception of a different flower and a different die. Now we are going to put this up on dimensionals, because y'all know I love my dimensionals. If I could only find them. Let's move the die. My plates. And I know I had some glue dots, I mean not glue dots, but dimension, here they are. I knew I had some right here because I'd had my hand on them just a few minutes ago. So on this side, we're going to use our dimensionals. Let me put my top back on my glue. And I'm going to grab probably, let's put one here, one here, one there. I like to do the best I can with kind of evening out my pieces so that I have adhesive around all corners, because you want it to be balanced. And my little pieces aren't cooperating with me tonight. So, and I'm dropping backers and all kinds of stuff on my dog. My dog's laying right here beside me. Both of my dogs. But Toby doesn't know he's a dog. He thinks he's a baby because I tell him all the time he's my baby. So let's put that down right there. And then we are going to adhere that. And I'm trying to decide, do I want to do dimensionals? I did do dimensionals on the other one, but I think this one I'm going to put it down with glue. I like the way it looks being flat on there. And that's unusual because I love using dimensions. But for this, since we've got some movement with those leaves, I don't think we need dimensionals on it. So I'm going to turn that over. And I want that flower to go about like here. And I'm just pressing it. And see how beautiful that's coming together? I love that. And it's grabbing the darker colors in this, and that makes it even all the more beautiful. So the next thing I want to do, I think I want to use that same thank you. No, I tell you what, we're going to make this a birthday card. So I'm going to need a happy birthday. Okay, I am back, and I found this Happy Thoughts, which is a great sentiment stamp set, because you've got congratulations, thank you, happy birthday, thinking of you, and then you've got 3 little verse things that you can put inside your card, which I think is great. But I'm not sure that I want to do this. I think I just want to use the happy birthday. So let's pull out our happy birthday. And I love my cling stamps. I know so many people say they prefer the photopolymer because you can see through them, and yeah, they are great if you're doing 2-step stamping because you can see exactly what you're doing. But when it comes to the quality of a good cling or the red rubber stamp like this, the quality and the way they stamp is exceptional. So I'm going to grab a stamp block. And I think this one would be sufficient. And what I always try to do, I'll use my grid or my grid paper, and I'll make sure that happy birthday is nice and straight before I pick it up on the block. That ensures that I'll have a better chance of getting a straight image on my card. So what I need to do is I need to find out how big this is. From here, from the bottom to the top, looks like it's about 1 inch. So that lets me know that I need to cut 1 inch off for my sentiment that's going to go right here. So I'm just going to take this up and I'm going to take 1 inch off. Tell you what, I'm going to do it over on this side. Right like that. Move that score blade out of my way and then slice. And then the, let's look at the dimensions. This way it's about almost 2.5. So we're going to do it 2 3/4. Or maybe let's go 3. Let's do 3 because I want to do a little banner tail on it. And again, I'm going to use that same Night of Navy ink because I like for things to be cohesive when I'm making a card. I like for things to match. When I say match, not always match. Sometimes you want to go a little crazy and have things a little off kilter, but for a card like this that looks so elegant, I really want to keep it as uniformed as I can, because I think this card is just lovely. So I'm going to bring this piece over and I'm going to stamp. Oh yeah, that's beautiful. So I'm going to ink up again, and forgive me if I get my head in the camera, but I want to get this, tell you what, I want to get it as close over on this side as I can. I'm going to straighten that cardstock up too. That will help assure me to get a better stamped image. Very pretty. Okay. And I'm going to put the banner just on one side because I think that will be sufficient. Now, if you have the tailored tag, I think is the one it's called. Let me pull it and I'll show you the one I'm talking about. Yep, it is the tailored tag. If you have this, you can cut your ends. No, babies. No. You can actually cut your banner without having to do it the old-fashioned way, which is great, because for me, I don't always get things perfect. You know, very few of us do. But if you got this, you can put it in, squeeze it until you get it just where you want it, and you want that center. Let's see, I'm having a little trouble centering it up. But it really is an easy way, normally. Now, if I wasn't on camera doing this, it would be so easy. Once I get it about where I want it, I'm going to look at it. That looks good. And there is your perfect little banner end. So, we got the sentiment on there, so what we got left to do is our bow. So I'm going to take this beautiful white and I'm going to cut a piece about, let me measure because I'm never good at measuring. I'm going to do a piece about 10 inches. And I'm going to do what I call a bunny ear bow. And what you do with a bunny ear bow is you bring up the two pieces and make it look like a little bunny ear. And I like to make my tail short because you're going to pull those back down. And that gives you more room. And then all you can do is cross one side over the other and pull it through and pull it. And then turn it over, and then you can start correcting your tails, pulling them like you want them. And once you get everything situated, you can pull both sides of this bow. And see, we don't want it twisted. So that's the things that you want to look at when you're doing your bows. And make sure that you're getting your tails turned just where you want them so that your bow will lay really good on your card. Just like that. Isn't that a pretty bow? And it wasn't hard to make. So if you struggle with bows, that would be a very good lesson on how to cut a bow. And let's see, do we want to go this direction or this direction? I think this direction. And then this one we're going to do. And now all we have to do is put this on here. You could put it like this, or you could put it like this. We didn't use the blue and silver, did we? Let's see. We could always... Well, I'm not sure that I want to use this. I'm going to tie another bow with it and see if it's something that I want to put on top. I might. and I might not. It's kind of cute. Alright, let's cut it and see. Now when you use this type of ribbon, twine, tie a knot just like that and snip it. That will keep you from fraying. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I should have tied that other one up higher. We'll have to go back and redo that one. That will just keep this from coming unraveled and making a mess of your cute little bow. And once you get that knot in there, you can actually cut it off then where you need it to fall. Oh, that's so cute. So I'm going to come up a little higher, and I'm going to tie one again, making sure that it's where I want my tail to end. Yeah, that's just about exactly where I wanted it. So I'm just going to clip that off. And we can actually adhere this, if you want to, with another glue dot. Let's put it together and see. I like that. I think it's cute. I'm going to make the loops just a tiny bit smaller, and then I'm going to pull them really tight. That's good. So again, here we go with our glue dots. I'm going to grab one glue dot on the back of my white bow. I'm trying to decide, do I want that to go like right here, or do I want to put it like this? I think I want it like that. That's cute. Now I'm also going to grab another glue dot, but this one I'm going to actually put right here in the middle of that bow, because that's exactly where this little bow is going to stick. Oops, let me make sure I got it going the right direction. Yeah, like this. And I'm just going to smush it in there, and that gives us that little bit of sparkle on there. Are you seeing it? And now the only thing that the only thing we got left to do is to put our sentiment on there. I just about forgot that, didn't I? Alright, let's go ahead and put our dimensionals, because I do want that to sit up. So I'm just going to put 3 on this, and I think that will be sufficient to hold it in place. And let's lasso our little backers. Oops, that one didn't go. And now we have a beautiful happy birthday card for someone that you care enough about to make them a handmade birthday card. And I always say that, you know, anybody can go to the store and buy a card, but when you sit and put the love in a card of making it handmade, and you get to have the pleasure of designing a card just for the person that you're sending it to. And I always think that that is such a plus. Isn't that pretty? I don't know which one I like the best. I like them both. Now I am going to put a Night of Navy with a white piece inside to stamp a sentiment on. Now I used the polka dot tulle ribbon on this one. And I used, this was in the Flowers for Every Season combo ribbon pack. Both of these were. And they're both beautiful in their own way. Just very, very similar, but the colors are a little different. And they are 2 different types of cards. This is a thank you, and this is a happy birthday. So let's go ahead and cut our Night of Navy while we're here and do our inside. We might as well finish the card up while we're here, right? So I'm just going to pull, I didn't have a scrap piece of Night of Navy that would fit, so we'll just cut another piece. I always say that leaves me the opportunity for another, oh, and the other thing I want to do, I want to put some sparklies on that one. since it's a happy birthday card, we're going to jazz it up with some rhinestones. I think that'd be cute. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut this. I always start my card base at my card. When I cut a piece of cardstock, I always cut a card base first. I don't know if everybody does that, but that's just how I like to do it. Because I look at it like this. Why whack up a piece of paper and when you can save this and have another card base? I might only need to use a couple strips off of this. I know this piece is going to be a little bit more than that because I am going to, let's see, we're going to make this at 4, about 5 1/4. Five and 1/4. And then I need my white piece, and I'm going to make it smaller. I want it to be 3 3/4. Yeah, 3 3/4 by 5. And now we have our 2 pieces to put down on the inside. And you know what I love to do? I love to decorate the inside of my card just a little bit. And you'll see that this is going to be a nice size for inside your card. That's going to go on there really good. Now, I don't know if any of you know this, but when you cut paper, you know how you get, it actually will turn up one way or the other. If you don't like that look, you can use your bone folder and just iron that out. And I've said this in some of my other videos, but I know that some people don't watch all the way to the end, and I know that sometimes people are interested in watching how the card was made and might not pick up on the little tips. But this is a great tip for getting the little rounded edges off of your cardstock, so it looks like it's been professionally cut and doesn't look like it's come out of a home trimmer, if that makes any sense. So let's see if one of those sentiments, just wanted to send some happy thoughts your way. That would be good for it inside of a birthday card. So I think I'm going to stamp that. And that one is one of the ones that will fit. Some of these are too long for a card unless you do it. See, that one is too long. So some of them needs to be in a landscape card and they would work beautifully. But other than that, I absolutely adore the stamp set. The sentiments are just so well written. So I'm going to pull that off of the Night of Navy. And let's grab our ink pad again, and I'm going to follow through using that same color. And I'm wondering if I want to, I am thinking that I want to stamp this in the corner, just a little flower right there in the corner. I think that'd be cute, and we'll bring this up a little higher. And we'll stamp that right there. So let me grab my stamp block, and I think this one will accommodate it. It's a little bit small, so maybe I need to go for something just a tiny bit bigger. We can always use the one I already have out. So I'm going to grab this one. And I need this little piece of paper to go up underneath here, because when I stamp off, I want the ink to hit somewhere besides my work surface. And I might even, let's see, stamp off and stamp on. Yeah, I think I'm going to do it full on. Just like that, and that's beautiful. I love that. So So now we need to, I'm going to use the same stamp block, and I'm going to grab the sentiment, but again I'm going to use my trick, and I'm going to bring it over here and line it up nice and even, and then I'm going to slide this down, and then we are going to ink it and stamp it. So pretty. I love that. So let's go ahead and get this ink pad closed again before I stick my fingers in it. And I'm just going to do that just for a sec. And I'm going to lay that down. And I think, do I want to, yeah, I'm going to use my Stampin' Seal Plus. I love the Stampin' Seal Plus. It is a great adhesive. I wasn't thrilled with it when it first came out because I thought that it was hard to use. Either I've gotten a hang of it or they changed the formula to make it easier, and I'm not sure which. But if you haven't tried this stuff, it is fantastic. Stampin' Seal Plus. Now I saw that I went off right up here, so I'm just going to take, just like you would in tear and tape, just roll it back onto itself, and that way you won't have any adhesive hanging off the edge. Now we know we have a very thin border over here, so I'm going to look top to bottom and on this side, and then I'm going to press that in place. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to use some more press and seal. I'm back on that again. Stampin' Seal. And we are going to adhere this down. Right. Oop. I hate it when it does that. It will sometimes be so strong it will tear your cardstock. Okay, maybe I didn't have heavy enough a touch. Alright, let's open this up. And now we are ready to put this down, just about like, oops, I should have used liquid glue. I didn't get that in just where I wanted it, so let's go back with some glue. This stuff is so strong that if you're off the least little bit when you lay your piece down, so if you're new to paper crafting, I'm not, and it still happens to me, but if you're new to paper crafting and you have trouble centering your pieces, one of my biggest suggestions is to start out using liquid glue. And then there is that card. All done, beautifully done if I might add. And I'm not saying that because I made it, but it is a beautiful card. I love this technique of using the alcohol markers on the Stampin' Up vellum and then using 91% alcohol with a paintbrush just to move that color. It is so spectacular. It's so much fun to make, and I mean seriously, look at those cards. I think they're both gorgeous in their own way. I do love the tool. I'm not too sure I wouldn't have liked to have used the tool on this one, but I wanted to change it up with the colors and also the ribbon. And I did change up the leaf color, the flower color, the background color, and the ribbon. Oh, I said I was going to add some jewels. I almost forgot. So let's definitely put a little bling on this card because, you know, if someone's celebrating their birthday, it's special, so let's bling it up. And this is a very feminine birthday card, and all us girls like sparkly things. I think that's just instilled in us to like sparkly things. So I'm going to put one right there, and I'm using the putty end of my Take Your Pick tool. This is the best thing in the world, and if you take your jewels and slide them like that, it picks them up perfectly. I'm going to put one maybe right there, and I want a bigger one maybe this big one, and we're going to put that right there. And do I want any more? Maybe we'll do one of these tiny ones right over here. Okay, now that card's all blinged up and ready to go. I hope y'all liked that. I hope you enjoyed the process of watching me. Oh, you know what I got on here? I was wondering why that wasn't sparkling. A little bit of the putty stuck to it. It does come right off, but if you notice your gems are the least bit, you know, dull looking after you put them on, it could just be a little piece of that putty that stuck to them, but it wipes right off with your fingertip. So it's very easy to take that out, and then you've got your beautiful card all ready to go in the mail. Now when I get ready to mail these, I will definitely want to do something with my envelope. So I may make another piece of vellum and actually decorate the back of my envelope with that. I think that would be beautiful. So I want to thank you so much for tuning in, spending a little bit of time with me, and I hope that I've inspired you. I hope that I've motivated you to get in your craft room and do something creative. It's so much fun, and it's actually therapy. It's therapy for your mind, your body, and your soul, because anytime that you can be creative, you are thinking positive thoughts, and you know, we all need to have more positivity in our life these days. So, and the most positive place that you can have in your life is knowing Jesus. And I always close my videos with this: let everything that you do and say bring glory to our Father in heaven, because if you do that, you will always be on the right path. Know Jesus, accept Him as your Lord and Savior. It's so important, especially now, to have a good background in your church and in hearing the Word and reading the Word and meditating on the Word. So even if you can't go to church, almost every church is streaming their service live. There's no reason why you can't go to a local church in your own living room on Sunday morning. So just a little word for thought, and thank you once again so much for tuning in and being a part of my crafty family. I love you all, and until we craft again, bye-bye.